We are live. Greetings, everyone, my fellow Nigerians, wherever you are, whether in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, I bring you warm greetings. I am your humble host, Dr. Edmond Ikeh, hosting Nigerian Constitution and Your Rights. Nigerian Constitution, Know Your Rights. It's a show every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time, 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, powered by the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria. We talk about the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. And I like to bring in guests that are in the legal practice in Nigeria to give us a proper understanding of the Constitution so that we can learn together and become better citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and know our duties and do them properly and in order to hold our leaders accountable. And today joining us is our amiable legal student, UC Maxwell. I'll invite him to the studio so that we can start the conversation proper. Before UC Maxwell introduces himself, please take a moment, all of you out there watching, to share the link, share, like the show, and participate in this conversation. Ask questions. Do not be shy, okay? This show is for all of us. Thank you very much. Over to you, UC Maxwell. Say hello to our audience and as we go about the show.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the show. My name is UC Maxwell. It's a pleasure to be here once again to discuss on the issues. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the show. Today's topic is going to be the economic objective of government. If you're here last week, we talked about the political objectives of government. So today we're talking about the economic objective of government, focus on Section 16 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. All right. So, UC Maxwell, please give us a quick summary of what is the economic objective of government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the Constitution, which we have been discussing about under Chapter 2, particularly Section 16, which is the focus of our discussion this evening, talks about the economic objectives of every government. Now, it provides, extensively the areas that a government must look at when it wants to make up its economic policies, when it wants to take up economic actions within the country. Now, every government that comes into power shall, within the context of the ideals and objectives as provided under Section 16, make its policies, make its appointments, enter into businesses, enter into treaties and the likes for the sake of the economic welfare of the Nigerian state. So that is basically what Section 16 provides. And as we go into the discussion, we'll look extensively at the provisions and what they really discuss. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful summary, UC Maxwell. Where did he go? I think we lost UC Maxwell. That's a wonderful summary of what the economic objective of government is. Like, we're not talking about the economic objective of just the federal government. We're talking about the economic objective of all government in Nigeria. That is the local government, the state government, and the federal government. Okay, so we're not just talking about just the federal government, because I know Nigerians are always hung up on just federal government. Whenever we talk about government, every Nigerian have the antenna right of, oh, federal government. No, when we talk about government, we're talking about all levels of government: the local government, the state government, and the federal government. And not just these levels of government, we're also talking about the branches of government: the executive government, which is president and deputy and its vice president, and all those, their ministry that they appoint. And then we're talking about the legislative government, which is the lawmakers, the senators, and the House of Rep members in the federal level, and while the state have a House of Assembly in the state level. Then when we talk about judicial branch of government, we're talking about the courts, all the courts in the land, the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, the Federal High Court, State High Court, Sharia Court, Customary Court, and so on and so forth, or the Magistrate Court, and all those other smaller court in the land. So that is what we always talk about government in all its entirety, not just one level of government or one branch of government, but all branches of government and all levels of government. Okay. Before we start going section by section, or I mean subsection by subsection of section 16, I would like to get UC Marx's opinion on what he thinks. He gave a good the government of the day of Nigeria throughout the years. Do you think that they have done a good job in executing the economic of government? What do you think, UC Maxwell? Do you think the current government of Nigeria and other previous governments have done a good job in executing the economic objective of government? What do you think, UC Maxwell? We have two UC Maxwell. Oh, one. Network. UC Maxwell is having some network challenge. Did you get that question, UC?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. Did you get the question, or should I repeat it?
Yeah, kindly repeat the question.
Okay, I think you gave a wonderful explanation or a summary of what objective economic objective of government is in Nigeria. So I'm asking, do you think this current government we have and previous government, have they done a good job in executing or in showcasing or living in line with the economic objective of government? How would you rate them?
Now, very particular, section 16, subsection 1 talks about generally about the harnessing of resources in Nigeria, the promotion of national prosperity, and the promotion of efficient, dynamic, and self-reliant economy. So these are indices for which policies of government must be made. It also went ahead to provide that in the control of national economy, it must be to secure maximum welfare, freedom, happiness of every citizen on the basis of social justice and equality of status and opportunity. Now, has this government poorly on this basis? I would say that the Buhari and APC-led administration have done poorly. Not only this administration, even previous governments. Why do I say so? Now, it says that the Nigerian government or whoever is in power, whether be it at the state level or at the federal level, must harness economy, must be able to look at every ways of diversifying economy. The Buhari-led federal government have closed its eyes or shut its eyes to other areas for which the economic activities in Nigeria can grow. How can economic activities grow? We talk about the power sector, which helps small and medium scale enterprise. These governments have totally neglected now the small and medium scale enterprises. There are no proper access to loans, student loans, medium and small scale enterprise loans for which people can build in businesses to affect the economy. Now, the economy can only be affected by the federal government. It must diversify its economy. Now, oil is the mainstay of our economy, generating a huge percentage of our revenues in Nigeria. The Buhari government have failed to even dredge seaports around states in Nigeria, which will see to proper importation and exportation of produces within Nigeria. It has also neglected agriculture. We cannot talk about economy without also looking at the security level of the nation. If security is curbed, you will see that the economy will grow because we would have people who would go back to farms and affect the economy, promote national prosperity, promote efficiency, dynamism, self-reliance economy. Are we self-reliant? We have a government that is actually borrowing monies to even service its projects in Nigeria. So I would say that on a lot of areas that the Buhari government have failed,
we also heard that they said that as much as how many million barrels of our crudes are stolen daily. We are talking about the mainstay of our economy. So these are affecting Nigeria as a nation. Our states also, not only the federal government, our states really making sure that they affect the Nigerian economy, and in doing so, opportunities. Are there equal opportunities to the rich and the poor? Do you make policies that would affect the richest man who owns a particular industry and also affect other people who are poor? The government must look into in creating
Thank
policies
you
to
very much.
affect the economy.
Thank you very much for that brilliant summation. Indeed, UC Maxwell, you're very right that the government have failed woefully. You mentioned the Buhari administration, but it's not just Buhari administration, it's every other administration after that, because it's not, we did not start having issue of seaport under Buhari. We have had the same problem with seaport under Goodluck Jonathan, under Yaradua, under Olusegun Obasanjo, and military head of state before that. So, well, thank God that the people are beginning to become more politically engaged, politically active, and asking questions. And we need to keep asking this question and move the government in the right direction. So yeah, I'll go back to before I continue. So please, if you're out there listening, bring your comments, ask questions, share the link so that more people can participate in this conversation. This program is for all Nigerians and who lovers of our country and who want our country to move forward progressively. So please join the conversation, ask questions, and participate in the comment section. I think Rita, I love the Rita Maxwell. It's Rita English. Sorry about that. Rita English said, "Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here. It's always great to have you, Rita. Thank you very much for being a consistent participant in this show. Please don't forget to ask questions. This is a very important segment. Actually, the whole chapter 2 of the Constitution is very important, and because it's telling us what the government is supposed to do. What is the objective of government? The directive principles of policy of government. So this is what we need to know, so that this is what the government is supposed to be doing. And if they are not doing it, that is why that will help inform us to tell, okay, the government is not doing this that is supposed to do, that has been enshrined in the Constitution. Then we need to vote them out, and because that is the only option we have. We cannot sue them, because this chapter, the whole chapter 2 is non-justiciable. So we cannot sue the government for not providing these things. But however, we can ensure to vote them out, or we can ensure to make sure we don't vote them back into power. So that's why we want to pay attention and watch, know what is required of government, and watch them and see if they do it or not, and then take the necessary action going forward. So UC Maxwell give a good, brilliant summation about subsection 1A. So subsection 1B says control of national economy in such a manner as to secure maximum welfare, freedom, happiness of every citizen on the basis of social justice and equality. Okay, I think you mentioned that as well. C says without prejudice to its right to operate or participate in areas of economy other than the major sectors of economy, manage and operate the major sectors of economy. Good. So what are the major, what are the major sectors of the economy that the Constitution is referring to, that the government is supposed to manage, so that the citizen can manage other sectors of the economy, so that people can understand so that the audience can understand, okay, this is a sector that the government is, and this is a sector that every other citizen is supposed to manage.
Okay, now, like I was talking about sectors of the Nigerian economy, there are different sectors. We have the agricultural sector, we have the oil sector when you talk about mining, steel, and the likes, and that's why there's a ministry for same. We also have the business, small scale enterprise, and the likes. We have companies, the private sector, of course, which they affect in different areas. Even the private sectors, those who own oil wells, those who engage in agricultural activities and the likes. Now, these are major sectors for which Nigeria looks into to make sure that it harnesses its revenues in economy. Now you talk about taxes, every nation, of course, tax its citizens. Now, in the economy, the entirety of these sectors must be harnessed properly. It's very, very important to note that these major sectors must not be joked with, because it is an aberration to tell us that as much as the quantity we are hearing from medias, that these are the amounts of our crude that is being stolen on a daily basis, and the government is not keeping check. Nobody is being sued. Nobody is being fired from offices. Nobody is being taken to court. Nobody is being sentenced to jail. So these are important questions. The Buhari's government, how much has it paid, or the governance? I must not even only talk about the Buhari's government. Every government in every area, how much has it paid into agriculture? Very, very important. These are major areas. Prior to the founding of oil in Nigeria, agriculture was the mainstay of the Nigerian economy. It's very funny that we used to be the largest exporters of cassava, cocoa, groundnut, and all these things, but we are nowhere to be found. We talk about rice. In fact, as we speak, there was a 12 billion naira investment of the Koschari's rice farm, which is underwater as we speak. Some sections of the country are flooded, and the government is not saying anything. The government is not doing anything. The National Emergency and Management Agency and the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA and NEMA, are doing nothing to see that these issues are controlled, because they are aware that floodings are going to affect Nigeria. There was a treaty between Nigeria and Cameroon to see that the dams that are open over their own countries, that there is a dam in Nigeria which will sustain these particular waters, and the Nigerian government failed in its own part to see this happen. Now it is affecting the economic system. How much does the governance pay attention to these major areas? And that is what the constitution is talking about here, that these areas must be looked into without prejudice. You must not look at one over the other. These areas affect our economy, and it's high time that we begin to pay attention to it, to make sure that we revive from the point we are. Because for every $100 that Nigeria makes, we spend as much as $120. So we are getting more extra $20 to see that we foot our bills. And this $20 we are talking about comes from borrowing. So it's an appalling situation in the Nigerian government presently.
Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful, brilliant on subsection, the other subsections of subsection. Thank you for that brilliant explanation. People, UC must have mentioned about the alarming amount of theft that's going on with that crude oil. We don't have to tell you, you've heard it yourself in the media and the national news, TVs, and even paper prints. So it's shameful. We are losing that much amount of money. And can you believe that oil producing nations are making money at this point of time? They are rich, they are getting richer. But Nigeria is the only producing country that is losing so much money and becoming poorer and poorer. So that is very appalling.
Dr. Edmond,
yes.
Let me say this real quick. Now, Nigeria is a member state of OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC as an organization. Now, we do believe that of all the countries who are members of OPEC, Nigeria is the only country that imports 90% of its usage of crude oil or crude oil byproducts. So that is to say, we are a crude oil producing nation, but we still import as much as 90% of our uses of crude oil. So it is very funny. We have refineries that have been left dormant in the country. How much is the Dangote refinery? It was budgeted to be around, I think, 11 billion or 13 billion dollars when it was produced. How much is our budget? If we can commit some percentages for 5 years in our budget. In fact, we already have 4 refineries. So why not commit some funds, rebuild them, and do them? So you see that these are just clear ineptitude of governance, and they do not pay attention to these particular provisions of the constitution, and just sheer wickedness to the Nigerian people.
Thank you very much. That's why last week, Rita English said that The Nigerian leaders don't even know what is contained in the constitution. They don't even know what is required of them. And there's truth in that. You are right, UC Maxwell. We are the only OPEC member nation that imports alarming percentage of our crude and other refined products from abroad, because we don't have functional refineries. And it may surprise you. You say they need to budget a huge amount in the budget to make sure to build refinery or repair it. They do budget. There is amount given to repair our current refineries. But what is that money? What is it being used for? Why is it not being used to repair the refinery? That is the kind of question we ignore to ask. They are allocating certain fund to that refinery. So it's like they are giving money to repair the refinery, but it's not being used to repair the refinery. So and they will come. What was the Mele guy, the guy that's in charge of I know the director of the NMPC. He will always say that, oh, those refineries, they have produced certain amount of refined oil, but the small amount that they produce is so negligible compared to the money that we put into it. So what kind of country is this? Like, it makes you crazy when you think about these things. Money is put into those non-functional refineries, and they produce minuscule amount of refined products. But we've pumped in a lot of money into it. So it's not like they're not pumping money into it. They're pumping money into it. Just the money is going to the pocket of some individuals. That is the problem we have here. So, and guess what? You mentioned about the 11 to 13 billion of Dangote refinery. I don't know the actual amount, the cost of the refinery, but I know that the Nigerian government invested into that refinery. Can you believe that? They invested, instead of building their own refinery, they're investing into an individual's refinery. And that is like promoting monopoly, because now it's going to be an individual that have the only functional refinery in the country that's monopolizing that business, just like Dangote have monopolized cement, flour, and all those things. And that is they're creating a policy of prejudice, a policy that does not create fairness. And about Section 16 is talking about creating an economy that promotes fairness without prejudice. But the government is doing the opposite of what the Constitution spells out, which is very sad. But let's move on. Subsection 2 says the state shall direct its policy towards ensuring Section A, promotion of a planned and balanced economic development. And as I mentioned, there's prejudice. When there's prejudice, there is no balance. So that is one. The material resources of the nation are harnessed and distributed as best as possible to serve the common good. All right. That the economic system is not operated in such a manner as to permit the concentration of wealth or means of production exchange in the hands of a few individual or group. That is what I just mentioned. How they have allowed Dangote to own soon, be the individual. It's an individual that own the only functional refinery in the country. That is against the provision of Section 16, subsection 2C. But I would like to hear your opinion about on that, UC Maxwell. What do you have to say?
I was going to mention the Dangote issue, but I would come to that. Now, countries are judged by metrics, different metrics, HDI, GDP, and it is by these metrics that countries are grouped into first world, second world, third world countries. And this enable people understand the kinds of economy that these particular groupings operate. Nigeria falls into a third world countries, and these are the reasons. If you look at the provisions of Section 16, subsection 2, it tries to envisage a state or a nation where all resources, all economic resources, policies, and the likes are made sure to go round the nation without concentration in a particular state or local government and without concentration in a few people. It is funny that the chunk of our resources are in the hands of a very few people. Speaking about the Dangote thing, now there is no family in Nigeria, I would say, no matter how I want to exaggerate it, there is no family in Nigeria that there is no Dangote presence in that household. No family, either by your salt, either by your sugar, either by the cement you used in building your house and the likes. These are not supposed to be so. Businesses should be promoted. Yes, I agree. Now, in times past, there have been issues regarding the permission to produce cement or exportation and importations regarding these issues between the Bua producing, Lafarge, Dangote, and the likes. You would see that the government of the day continues to give it to a very few people. For instance, Dangote, it is actually a slap on our face in the Committee of Nations that a country like Nigeria would be investing in the refinery of an individual with failure to fix its own four existent refineries or to even build new refineries. It is actually a slap. So that is what this particular subsection is saying, subsection 2, that there is a planned and balanced economic development system that will be made by all governments to see that these resources do not stay in the hands of few individuals. It goes round. It does not stay in the hands of a few states. It goes round. And that is why I have a problem that states which are not committing to the federal government revenue are still receiving, well, large packages at the end of the month. That, suitable, you did not even read the provision of subsection 2, paragraph D, that states that suitable
Yeah,
and adequate
minimum wage.
shelter, suitable,
Yeah.
suitable and adequate food, reasonable national minimum living wage, old age care and pensions, and unemployment, sick benefits, and welfare of the disabled are provided for all citizens. It is through these revenues that government generates that these can be provided. And it is appalling that the government have neglected these people. We have the old people.
You see, I think you have a connection issue. Connection issue.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You froze for a moment. You were talking about the appalling situation of non-provision of shelter, adequate food, and neglect of our poor and our old people. Yeah.
Yes, when you look at the job people of the south, from where these oils are gotten, they've been neglected. A cleanup program was made for them, but how much have they done in the cleanup program? How much amenities are these people giving, even though it is from their societies that the oil which contributes to the major revenue of the nation are gotten from? So the nation must, the government must open its eyes, bring up policies that is all inclusive, bring up planned development systems that would affect every area of Nigeria. If we must truly claim that it is one Nigeria, the policies and principles and distribution of wealth, of government revenue, of economic plans and systems must go round to all nook and crannies of the country. So it's very, very important and must not be taken for granted.
Yes. Thank you very much. It cannot be taken for granted. But you say the government need to open their eyes. The thing is that the government is not interested in opening their eyes in that. They're not interested. This current government and the past government, they have not been interested in that. That's why it's not that they don't know what to do. It's not that they don't have brilliant people in their team that can do this, that can encourage or advise them to do all those things and improve. But they're not interested. That's the problem. So that the responsibility is on us now. The onus is on us. The elect people that will be interested to do this thing that we want. So that is what I'm going to say. I'll put that in my closing remark later. Well, let me take a quick comments. I think Rita dropped a long comment. So let's read that and then we'll take a break and continue the conversation. Rita says, people with empty brains to rule over the vast majority of those whose brains are functional. I think there was a comment before that. Let me read the one before. Okay, that's one. This one right here. Sam from that. Okay. When they say know your right, no be by cause. Not true. Nigeria is about the most blessed in the world with over 400 natural mineral resources, but we keep draining resources by ourselves by electing people. Okay, that's gonna by electing people with empty brains to rule over the vast majority of those whose brains are functional. As we speak today, some Nigerians are rooting for Tinubu, whose rightful place is in the old people's home. Or Rita the Para today. So over a vibrant intelligent plus capable Peter Obi as president come 2023. So tell me, can you give what you don't have, please? Rita, no one can give what you don't have. You can only give from what you have. If you have nothing, you can give nothing. So yeah, Tinubu is supposed to retire from politics and take good care of his health, but he doesn't want to take care of his health. He wants to be president. It's left for me and I, you and I, possibly you are in Nigeria. I can't vote and I have no plans of being in Nigeria during the voting period. So people in Nigeria can vote. Please make sure to vote the right candidate, not a candidate that will be a liability to the country. Like Buhari is a liability to the country. He used a lot of our resources to treat himself and leaving people impoverished. And if we put Tinubu into office, the same thing, he used our commonwealth to treat himself. Instead of all the wealth he have looted from Lagos to treat himself, he's using our commonwealth or the treasury in the federal government. And we cannot allow that. You should not allow that. We need that money to put those 13 million children out of school into schools and dilapidated hospitals to be refurbished and bring more doctors. Even Nigerians that are abroad, doctors in abroad can come home and practice if they are well paid, if there's a good functioning society. So those are what we should push for, okay? I think that is a comment we have for now. And the break is, we're talking about this 2023 presidential election that's coming. So we'll have an online poll for this to choose your preferred candidate. We have 18 candidates, you can see them there. Yeah. RPM, AAC, SDP, AAC, APC, PDP, LP, Peter Obi, and NNPP, Rabi Kwankwaso, and Peter Omadi of ABGA, and so on and so forth. There's 18 of them out there. So come and vote for your candidate on this Sunday, 23rd October. It's going to run from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Nigeria time. Just 4 hours. You have 4-hour window to come and vote your preferred candidate, and whoever candidate wins is who the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria will support and promote. Okay, and come. So make sure your candidate wins, because if your candidate wins, GCSDN promoting them also increases or improve your chances of your candidate winning the actual election. Okay, so that's why it's important for you to come and vote for your candidate. And to do so, you go to www.gcsdn.org, www.gcsdn.org. That's org. And voting. Create an account with your email and then use that to vote. And the software can only allow you to vote once. So only one vote, one man, one vote for one woman. That's it. One vote only one vote. So vote one and then wait for the result to see if your candidate wins. And I hope my candidate wins. So I don't know about you. All right, that is that. Back to the discussion. So UC Maxwell helped me to read the 16 subsection 2D. So moving on to subsection 3. So a body shall be set up by an act of the National Assembly which shall have power to review from time to time the ownership and control of business enterprise operated in Nigeria and make recommendation to the president on the same, and to administer law for the regulation of ownership and control of such enterprises. Okay, so that is subsection 3 and the little parts under it. So a body must be set up. I think we got that covered. I think a body has been set up, and that is CAC, the Corporate Affairs Commission. That is what help register business nationally. I don't think that is an effective way of registering business, but that is what the government have adopted, CAC. I believe all states should have its own registering body, because all states are not the same. We don't have to all go to Abuja to register a business. I've registered a couple of businesses in Nigeria, and it's a hassle because I don't have to go through the state the business is located. I have to go through Abuja. My lawyer have to go to Abuja to register and all that. It's a hassle, and it makes it more. I believe it makes it more expensive. If you focus the business registration state by state, and you can approach your state and do it in your state, it's going to be cheaper because you're cutting costs of maybe travel, the lawyer traveling to Abuja for certain things or communicating with Abuja for certain things. They can do it. They can even go to the office in their state where they are located and do it. So that's more effective. But I want to hear your opinion on that, UC Maxwell. Do you think the structure of the registering body CAC is good enough, or do you believe it should be dissolved into state registering bodies for new businesses and so on and so forth? Or does it even exist in states so far? I don't know. I'm not, maybe it exists in state. I just don't know. So please explain to us and help us understand better as someone who is in that field.
Okay, thank you for the question. I feel that you've been away from Nigeria for so long, so probably you're not up to date as to a lot of happenings. Now, so the provision of section 16, subsection 3 is actually fulfilled because we talk about the Company and Allied Matters Act. It is a law, a legislation, a federal legislation in Nigeria which regulates the establishment of businesses, partnerships, companies, name it, any kinds of association and the likes. And the body that is, saddled with the responsibility to see to the administration of these provisions is the Corporate Affairs Commission. So you must go through the Corporate Affairs Commission to see that you register businesses. So the section is just simply telling you that, a body must be established, of course, established by CAMA of 2020, that's the newest act, and then that it will review from time to time the ownership and control of such businesses and advise the president on same. And it will also administer any law for the regulation of such, which the law I talked about is CAMA. Of course, there are other sub-legislations which see to the establishment of, other enterprises. That, some companies have some peculiarities. For instance, you want to register a school, you want to register a bank, and the likes. There are other legislations which also help the CAMA to see to its implementation. Now, talking about the operations of the CAC, I would say that the CAC have been able, I must give them commendation, to improve its system. Now, you can simply register your businesses from the comfort of a website. You don't need to go to the CAC web office or the likes. Now, the CAC also have offices resident in the 36 states of Nigeria. I cannot bet so much that they are everywhere, but they're supposed to be, and I think they are in every state in Nigeria. And of course, the head office here in Abuja. The CAC sees to this registration, and you can register your business, be it a small-scale enterprise, a company limited by guarantee, limited by shares, unlimited companies, and the likes through the CAC and through a website. But please, I advise that you engage the services of a lawyer to assist you do that so that you can have a proper registration of your businesses. So these have been adhered to for a long time. It's just that the CAC needs to also build up all mechanisms to see that businesses are registered. It also checkmates other businesses. I feel that the CAC is supposed to look into the affairs of a lot of business, and it is there in the CAMA, in the Companies Allied legality and illegalities that businesses operating. There are several allegations against millions of companies before the courts of law, which talks about illegalities that companies operate in that affect are very, very important issues.
Thank you very much, UC Maxwell, for that explanation. Yeah, okay. I don't know that CAC have offices in all states, but you say they do, which I don't think they do. I may have in some states, but not all states. But the law that created CAC, that the Corporate Affairs Commission, probably empowered them to have offices in all states.
Dr. Edmond.
Yes.
Just to add, sorry to cut your chain of thoughts. I don't think that there's a state that there is no CAC office, because you know that for every state tries to make sure that foreign companies come into the state, see to the registration and all that. So I don't think for the successes of businesses in Nigeria and the economic revenue of Nigeria, every state should have a CAC office.
Yeah, I think you have a high hope in the governance ability of governors of all the states in Nigeria. I don't have that high hope in their ability to do things right. But maybe you are right. Maybe there is CAC office in all 36 states. I don't know. But I just think it's not just all 36 states, like just having a CAC office in all the capital of the state. They should have multiple offices within one single state, because a single state is not just the cap. It's not a capital of a single state. It's not the whole state. There are different cities within the state. There are different towns within the state. So we should have multiple CAC offices in one state, not just one office in one state, one office in one state. Like that means we'll have like 36 or plus the Abuja FCT. That means maybe 37 CAC offices. That's too few, very few. So I hope that is not the case. But let's skip that for now and move on to section 4. So the purpose of this subsection of this section is the reference to the major sector of the economy shall be construed as the reference to such economic activity as may from time to time be declared by a resolution of the House of the National Assembly to be managed and operated exclusively by the government of the Federation, and until a resolution to the contrary is made by the National Assembly, economic activities being operated exclusively by the government of the Federation on that date immediately preceding the date when this section comes into force, whether directly or through the agency of a statutory or other corporation or company, shall be deemed to be a major sector of the economy. So is that question I asked you earlier, what do they mean by major sector? I think that they took their time to explain what they mean by major sector in subsection 4A. B says economic activities include activities directly concerned with the production, distribution, and exchange of wealth or goods and services, and participate include rendering of services and supplying of goods. This session for economic activities. But do you want to break it down to an ordinary Nigerian, a layman? What really is this subsection talking about?
Okay, very simply now, just to throw a little light on section 4 sub A, that major sectors of the economy shall be determined by the National Assembly. That is what it is saying there, that the major sectors of the economy shall be construed as a reference to such economic activities as may from time to time be declared by a resolution of each house of the National Assembly to be managed. So it is on the basis of this that the National Assembly will determine what are the major sectors of economy. Now, when they determine this by any law whatsoever that they want to pass, the government must pay attention to these major areas. Now, they must do this, of course, in consultation with policies around the world. That is why Nigeria must play a great role in attending economic summits, go through. Of course, we have Okonjo-Iweala, who is the DG of the World Trade Organization and all that. Now, coming to subsection B that says that economic activities includes activities directly
Problem. Having a connection problem.
Can you hear me?
Are you back?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, welcome back.
Okay, thank you. Just recently, I would like to pay attention to the area that talks about the exchange and distribution of weather, services, goods. Now, just recently, a presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was asked a question about climate change. And it's funny that all he had to say about climate change was about church rats eating a poisoned Holy Communion. It is laughable. As much as it is laughable, it is something for us to reflect upon, that a person who wants to take the reins of power and lead the most populous black nation in Nigeria could say these laughable statements to the public. Climate change is a very serious issue in the world at the moment, especially concerning Nigeria, which engages in crude oil, which engages in the burning of crude products, burning of fossil fuels and the likes. So these are areas Nigeria needs to look into renewable energy. The sun that hits in Sokoto, in Maiduguri, in Kano State is enough to generate solar power to
leaving crude oil totally, because of course I don't support leaving your your mineral resource. You can look for modified ways of harnessing these mineral resources, but you need to diversify the economy, bring in this other area, energy through solar, contribute to the national grid for power. Of course, we're having power failures. Alone in this particular 2022, we've had more than 12 what's it called, national grid failures in Nigeria. So these are the things that the constitution is talking about. That economic activities include all these things, whether services, distribution and management of these goods and services, importation and exportation. All these include economic activities, and the federal government must pay attention to it to see that it is well included, so that we can build our revenue and affect life through infrastructure, social amenities, and other things which are very, very important to the individuals and citizens of Nigeria.
Thank you very much for that brilliant summation. With you 100%, government have to do better and looking into all those things that improve our economy. That is the purpose of today's conversation, the economic objective of government. And it's all around economy, not just one side, not just exportation, not just importation, but also increasing or improving our production capacity. And not just our production capacity in oil, but our production capacity in other sectors like agriculture, automobile industry. Nigeria only have how many indigenous motor manufacturing company apart from Innocent Motors? I think there's one in the southwest, and there's another one, Proforce. That
Dr. Edmond,
yes,
it is a pity. It is a very big pity that the federal government have failed to create enabling environment. The government cannot do everything. You cannot employ every citizen and pay them from the government coffers. And that is what this government is mistaken about. You don't just keep creating ministries, keep creating commissions, keep employing Nigerians. These are not how economies are run in the world. Create enabling environment for individuals to participate in the economy. When you look at section 4 sub C, there you will see it. Everybody have to participate in the economy through exchange of services and goods. When you create an enabling environment, reduce taxation for the registration of companies, you will see small and medium scale enterprises begin to proliferate. Repairing of phones, making of gadgets, making of automobiles, and other tech areas which are currently boosting economies around the world. Look at China, look at Japan, look at how much they've done in order to boost their economy. So I don't know. And it's good that the elections are around the corner while we are having these discussions, that people will pay attention and know amongst all. Of course, I have a candidate in the person of Peter Obi who has shown, anyway, let me not sell any candidate on your space, but we must question candidates.
Don't sell any candidate on this space. But don't worry.
Yes.
So that's that. So let's use this opportunity and give you the floor to give 1 minute closing remark. What do you want to say to Nigerians based on the topic, the economic objective?
Yes, I get you. You asked for just my 1 minute closing remarks. So I would just say to all Nigerians who are listening that as a citizen, you owe it a point of duty to checkmate the activities of governance in your country. The fact that Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution is non-justiciable does not negate any reasoning for citizens not to hold their electorates, or to hold the people they elect into power responsible. How do you hold them responsible? Question their actions, question their policies. When they want to make policies, show yourself present, protest against it. You have the constitutional right to engage in protest. When there are policies that do not align with the spirit and nature of the citizens, go against it. When it comes to voting, put the right people there. And when you put people, if they are not doing what they need to do, call them back, return them back to their homes, let them go and take care of themselves, and put new people to take up the reins of power and do the needful, so that we can have ourselves sitting at the Committee of Nations, leave the seat of third world nation and and return to the seat of the first world nation, because India did it, China did it. We can also do it because we have the resources available. We only need a good leadership system in Nigeria. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here to address the people. Thank you.
Thank you, UC Max. So you always show up and you do an amazing job whenever you show up. And I'm looking forward to continue the conversation with you throughout chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. Next week, Tuesday, we'll continue with section 17. So section 17 will be social objective of government. So no, that deals with us directly, deals with the citizens. That's the government taking care of you. So come ready to know how does the government support, what is the government supposed to do to take care of you, your social welfare, social responsibility of government, or social objective of government. So please come ready, invite your brothers and sisters, invite your friends and neighbors so that we can have a full house. And whenever you come, please participate in this forum, ask questions. There's a comment section. Use that comment section and ask questions. There's a reason why there is a comment section. Let's make the best use of it. Thank you once again, UC Maxwell. And this is where I leave you all until next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, 3 p.m. US Central Time, 4 p.m. US Eastern Time. Bye-bye. Have a good one.